Welcome to my class. Appreciate everyone for joining the class today. Thank you for everybody who came through the class, those who joined me on my Facebook live and supported me, and I'm pretty sure you got your money's worth. I really appreciate the support. This is just a short snippet. I'm going to shoot extra just for the first section of lead sourcing. For those who are not there, maybe they can join us on our next class. So my name is Nkululeko Nkuna. I used to work for a property investment company that was based in north of Johannesburg, Randburg to be specific. I've ended up buying more than 50 houses for them, although not all 50 houses I bought were good contracts. Out of the 50, 30 were good contracts, and out of the 30, 20 were actual buy-ins. The other 10 were probably between wholesaling and joint ventures, which is also good. And another thing is agent referrals, which is also good, because at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is monetize each and every effort that you put in the market. So I'm just going to go through a flipping 101, just the first section of my classes that I went through with my students. The outline here says, in this class, we answer the oldest question all property investors in real estate have asked: should I buy a house at auction or find the right seller that's looking to sell to me? It's a good question if you ask me, because the last thing you want to do is, look for a seller that's not looking for you, who's going to high anchor you, and you end up buying a house for too much, or go around door to door knocking on people's doors for nothing, and out of 10 you get 0, and out of 100 you get 1, and out of that 1 there's only 100K to make. You've wasted a whole year because you didn't know how to lead source effectively. So the outline of this whole class, the first topic was buying from auction versus buying from a willing seller. The second one was risk management. The third one was what's this whole thing is about, was lead sourcing. The fourth one was market analysis. The fifth one was max offer calculations. This is how to calculate exactly how much you must offer someone for a house in a specific area. It's not all the same. Introduction into property buying negotiations. As we know, negotiations one of the most important thing in real estate if you're trying to buy a house at deep discount. Okay, I'm just going to go through only these 2 pages with you guys, and then if you weren't in the class, then you missed out. The next class is on the 16th of this month. It's on a Saturday at 12 o'clock. Trust me, just join the class. If you're not happy or not satisfied, I'll give you a refund myself of your money. So, buying from auction versus buying from a willing seller. What are the pros and what are the cons of buying from auction? The pros of buying from auction is that you do buy a house way below market value. Or rather, let me say, you used to be able to buy a house below market value. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but currently there's been a change in how public auctions can be done. In other words, the bank has to put a reserve price on the property. Before, you could buy a house for 1 rand, 100 rand, depending on who's bidding against you. If there's anyone bidding against you. I know a guy who once bought a house for 100 rand because there was no one there to bid against him for that specific property. And another thing is occupation available immediately, depending. I bracketed depending because it usually depends on the area of which you bought the house from auction for. If you bought the house from auction from an area where which is the residents stick together and fight for each other, chances are you might get that house for 100 rand, but by the time you get to the property and try to evict the people, you might end up getting evicted from the area by the community members. So don't find yourself in a situation like that, asking yourself, how could I have done this differently? The cons are, my goodness, cons. The cons are high rates and taxes. Most of the times when you buy a house of auction, it has high rates and taxes. I remember when we bought a house for the first time in auction, little did we know what we were doing. We bought a house that was worth around 800K. The rates on taxes on the property was 300,000 Rand, my friend. We paid the thing off, and there was only, 500,000 Rand left on the table on the deal, and it cost us 100K to fix it. So after cost, we were all in 450, if not half a million. I mean, we could only make 300K. No, I'm lying. Actually, I think we made 200K on that property, thinking we were going to make 400K on the property. Due diligence is very important when it comes to buying houses of auction. You have to do your homework. You have to know what the reserve price is. When they do put the house on the government gazette, they do put a reserve price. Look, let's say you do your due diligence, you get your paperwork in order, you make sure your side of the story is covered. You still have to, go to the auction and bid against other people. And sometimes they are novice investors who price haggle and push price so high, sometimes even close to market value. You're like, I should have just went to the actual seller and made him an offer instead of him risking his portfolio and losing a house on auction and getting blacklisted. I could have just done that instead, because I came here to get a discount, right? But now I'm not getting a discount because of some people pushing the price at auction so high. Sometimes you go to auction, everybody's behaving. However, 80% of the properties that you came for have been cancelled. They're no longer being auctioned. Someone saved it. Someone like me, by the way. It's always someone like me who gets these auction leads way before they even go to auction. I get them while they were still distressed. I get them while they're still getting into trouble. And I'm like, hey, how you guys doing? Listen, I can see this trouble coming. How much are you guys owing the bank? Let me help you guys out. I can teach you that too. That's just how one of the strategies of buying or flipping strategies that's on our second class, where we teach you how to flip properties, different buying strategies, different flipping strategies, etc., etc. So number 2 here says pros and cons of buying from an agent. Pros. Look, an agent will have a variety of properties. So let's say you find a property online. It's not on market. It's like let's say it's 50K below market value. You want to go to the property through an agent because the agent that has a sole mandate for this property. You say, agent, can I come to the property? Agent is more than happy to meet you at the property. You guys meet at the property. You try and negotiate another 50 off that price. The agent says, no way. Listen, we're already 50 down here. If you negotiate another 50 off the price, that's a 50 off my commission, which is actually my entire commission. Then you end up saying, okay, agent, do you have other houses that you can show me? They might have other houses that they can show you, but chances are most of those houses are actually market, and most of those houses are not fixer-uppers. That's why the agent has them. The nice thing about this, you have guaranteed occupation. It's professionalized. The paperwork is done by the agent, and the agent takes care of the attorneys and the transferring attorneys and etc., etc. You just wait for your house to be registered under your name before you can start doing what you have to do to it. The cons are the prices are normally very high. There's less leg room for negotiation, and there's a high risk for fraudulent agents who are just out there to charge you fees for viewing. I once saw an actual fee of a house I wanted to see in Mpumalanga. This agent said she charges 1.5 for her to come and make me view. I'm like, excuse me, for me to come and view the house, I must pay you 1.5? Okay, another thing is some agents, you send an offer to purchase with them. You're excited to get a property, maybe 80% below market value. You send guarantees to the attorney. In fact, you actually deposit your money into the attorney's trust account. Hooray! Only to find out 6 months later your house is not registered and the money's missing. The agent is nowhere to be found. And now you have to walk around trying to find, going to court. It's a whole lot. However, the risk of that happening is much, much low now because of the FFC, the new regulations that have come into play. They do have their limitations, but they do have their pros. So yeah, advantage of sourcing willing sellers is that they are open to negotiation, right? So if you have a strategy on how to get your own sellers, in other words, the sellers communicate with you. So Remember, the other two strategies, you going out for the sellers. So the first one, pros and cons of buying from an auction, you are the one going to go buy the house. You're the one sourcing the actual house. Pros and cons of buying from an agent, you're the one going on Property 24, looking for this agent or looking for this house that you want to buy. Here, you're sourcing willing sellers. In other words, they will be looking for you, right? Someone who's looking for you already knows about you. And how will they know about you? I'll teach you this in the second session, by the way. It's also on this very class, but I'm not going to go all the way down there just to explain that to you guys. I just want to give you a snippet of what you guys missed out if you weren't there. And if you were there, really appreciate it. Anyway, that seller is now looking for you. So therefore, they are much more open to negotiating with you because in their head, you have a higher positioning than you would have if you were the one going to a seller saying, I'd like to buy a house. Now you're already at the bottom of that food chain because you are begging or rather asking to buy someone else's house, right? Nice thing about this, you have full occupation. There's no commission. And when you meet a seller that has called you, you're able to somehow find out about pain points. You're able to pinpoint or ask the right questions that would lead them into telling you what exactly is the reason for them to sell right now. So some of them might tell you, look, I'm selling because I'm migrating. And this is over the phone. And some people buy houses over the phone. I mean, I'm quite good at that. But I'm good at that because I can ask the right questions. But if you can't, you simply pick up the phone. Let's say you get a lead and, hi, Mr. Thompson, how you doing? Nguli here from Fast Property Buyers. I got your request. So you'd like to sell your property to us. Would it be wrong for me to ask why you're selling maybe? And then this seller says to you, I just want to sell. You're ready. That's it. That's end of conversation over the phone for you if you don't know what to say. However, there are ways to go around this, and this goes into this part of the whole program is into the negotiation part on how to handle objections such as that, or maybe no, I'm actually migrating. It sounds reasonable enough, right? I'm migrating. Okay, cool. You're migrating. I can deal with that. So you take his word. He says he's migrating. His property is worth 1 million. He says, look, Nguli, I know you buy houses below market value, but I can only give you this house for 800K. He's already in your head spoken you down a good price. You accept this over the phone, only to go to the property to find out the property needs 150K worth of refurb. Because you didn't ask the right questions and you didn't focus on the pain points. You don't know why they're really selling. I mean, you're hearing them. They're telling you what they're telling, but you're not really listening to what they're actually saying, right? So pain points is very important when you get a willing seller, because that way you get to speak to a person face to face. You get to sit down with them. You get to use certain tricks that I can teach you to control the whole conversation and lead it and direct it into a place that you need it to be for you to get your price for the property. Okay, I'm just going to scream through this. This is the last part I'm going to show you. Risk management is bad property valuation. An ARV is after repair value. To get to this estimation, if you get this estimation wrong, it often leads to you losing money. Because if you assume that an area is worth 600K because you looked at prices on Property 24 and you looked at prices on private property, like as in people are selling here for 550K, that must be the value, right? Okay, let's say that's what they're selling for. Let me ask you a question. If I am selling my car, let's say I drive a Taz, hypothetically speaking, I drive a Taz and I have sentimental value on the Taz. I say I'm going to sell the Taz for 80,000 Rand. But everybody keeps coming to me for, with a cash offer of 60K for that car, if not 50. That simply means the actual repair or resale value of that specific car is 50K or between 50 and 60K, no matter how much I priced it for. So you come the next day, you want to sell your TAS, you see what I priced it for and you priced for the same thing, only to suffer the same demise that I did, right? That's pretty much what I'm talking about there when I say bad property valuation. You need to do your due diligence again. You need to understand exactly what you're getting yourself into. What's the difference between a sales price and ARV, and how do you come up with an actual value of an area? So insufficient funds for unexpected costs. Sometimes doing a refurb on a property, sometimes you come across unexpected cost. That foundation is cracked, roof is leaking, the roofing needs replacement. The most expensive thing when building a property is roofing, because roofing is quite expensive, right? Cost of money, interest of that money that you put in the house for the next 3 months. If you loaned it, you need to pay interest every month on it. If you haven't loaned it, it loses value for as long as it's in there. So you push for time, right? So there's always cost involved. There's always cost involved, even when it comes to registration. Even if you don't even put money down, and you get someone to sell your property and you happen to sell it at the same time, there's still cost for simultaneous costs, registration costs. There's still cost. So you need to understand what kind of cost are you getting yourself into. Emotional intelligence. You need to be emotionally steady if you want to flip houses, especially in South Africa. In America, it's a different story. I can buy a house today. It registers under my name within 3 weeks. I take 2 months to fix it, or maybe a month to fix it. After fixing it and someone buys it for me the next day, 3 weeks later, I'm getting paid. I can actually have a good income like that. Right? But in South Africa, you can buy a house today, fix it today, sell it today, but you're only going to get your money. What is it now? April, you're going to get your money July. Already, that's a lot of emotional intelligence, because you